Good evening. You're listening to the Extreme Movie Show. Tonight's episode, Kicking It. I am your host, Rob. Tonight I have RDV and Professor Pixel going with me. We are discussing the 1974 extreme martial arts movie, Street Fighter with Sony Chiba. And I've got a confession to make to all the listeners out there. I know we've covered Chuck Norris. I know we've covered JCVD. I know that I'm the only supporter of Steven Seagal on this channel. I know that we've done a lot of the Girls with Guns films with Cynthia Rothrock. I know we've talked about Scott Adkins and Amy Johnston. We've yet to talk about Sony Chiba. And I, first of all, would like to say to everybody listening, especially the fans of this movie and martial arts that take it seriously all around the world, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry that we didn't start off the whole Kicking It thing with this movie because, my God, this is the very definition of extreme, ladies and gentlemen. Not only is this film fun, it's violent, it's gory. It's basically the American blaxploitation version of a martial arts film that hasn't happened yet because it came out over there in Japan. And if you watch the trailer, it is so non-PC, about 6'6" of half-breed fury. I'm like, oh my God, they're going there, and they kept there, and they did it, and that's how this whole movie is. RDV, you've been wanting to see this for a long time, so we finally watched it. What was your initial impressions? Holy crap.
Initial slow burn, but I mean, it picked up with the action, the scenes. Like I said, watching Sonny Chiba in this movie, he is not a very nice guy. I love the whole scene, from the beginning all the way to the end. You don't know what you're going to get. I'm thinking, except most of us are used to this time in 80s Hong Kong stuff. We're used to Jackie Chan style kind of movies, like Crime Story and all that stuff, The Protector. This was different. This is basically kind of you're getting close to back to the Bruce Lee kind of stuff.
Right.
And obviously, this guy, when you do martial arts, you have to do there's breathing techniques, but there's also, like Bruce Lee said, music goes wah because it distracts the people. It's not really because they think, but I'm wondering if Sonny Chiba in this movie, when he does his, because he only does it in this movie, he doesn't do it in the other ones. I wonder if he does it because it's supposed to be a distraction, but also because you remember he's also breathing in deep,
right.
to get the full effect. So it's a combination of that, because it basically sounds like you're watching The Walking Dead. When you look at the walker behind you.
That's extremely over the top breathing. I agree with you on that.
Yeah. But I love it. Hell, he's got a little sidekick named Brad Face. He's kind of
heavy.
Well, Pixel, what's your initial impressions about this film? Then we'll dig into a couple scenes. Breathe. Choke on it. All right, while he's doing that, I'll just go with the plot and get that out of the way.
Yeah.
He's this bad dude, hitman kind of guy that is hired to do something. He does it in a nice opening sequence, but then they kind of turn on him and it's the Yakuza involved. So he's like, screw you guys. I'm going to go save the person you wanted me to wipe out. Shenanigans ensue, lots of violence. And I thought for me, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre was the most violent movie I saw that went back into the 70s at that time, like rated X or unrated. This was the first, I think, rated X movie because of violence, not because of sex or graphic scenes of other natures, let's say, and we'll leave it at that with the algo. But yeah, holy crap, it's violent. So if you're done choking, if you're not dead with the whole heart punch there that Chiba did early on, Pixel, what's your initial take?
Yeah, you know what? I think Venkman said it best. It's a lot of fun, but it's a trip. I can tell you, Rat Face was a fun character. Terry is. I'm a little confused at times with this movie because starts out with Terry saving this guy from prison. Basically, he was on death row.
Yeah.
And Terry, the name of Chiba's character, is a Buddhist monk, I believe. Supposedly, he's impersonating one.
Yeah.
Yes. And his actual name is like Tukama or something.
Yep.
But they call him Terry in the English dub, so I'm going to keep referring to him as
Chusaragi. Yeah. Yeah. He's posing as a Buddhist monk to get the guy out of jail. And he's like, hold on, and he gives him like puts him in an oxma coma punch, which he calls it. And the guy claps, but then he's able to get him out. The brother and sister who basically hired him, well, they didn't have the money to arrest him because he already sent this guy off to Hong Kong.
They welched.
Yeah, so
bums.
What is he? The guy's like, well, I'm gonna fight you. He's like, why? Just get out. It's like they attack him. The one that ends up doing a flying drop kick out the window and splats on the ground. That's where we can see the first fake blood. This was always popular in the 70s. So he's dead on there, and she's like, no. So what does he do? Because he still wants his money. Sells her into the prostitution, right?
No, and this is not a joke. This is not a laugh riot Jackie Chan comedy action sequence.
It is.
The guy he dodges the kick, so the guy falls out the window. You're like, okay, this is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Terry has no problems beating up on a woman, especially one that stiffed him.
He's a bad guy. He's not a good guy in this.
No, he's not a good guy.
He's consistent with his principles. You screwed me. You're the bad person. I'm just going to make you pay for it. I totally understand that. Very Nietzschean in this. It was
kind of disturbing because the girl he throws in there, she ends up being raped and then drugged.
Yeah.
And then
this is not a lighthearted film.
No, it was not.
No, it's not.
So anyway, after that goes on, the guy ends up in Hong Kong. He sees this guy there, and the guy's like, hey boss, he didn't work. He's like, sure, whatever. And he'll hear a ward for doing so good, help her. Take your pick of one of my whores. And he sees his sister in there, and he finds out what Terry did. Terry, caused the death of his brother, and it caused his sister to be in serving a debt, where he has to work. And he's like, what can I do to free my sister from this debt? You have to kill this guy. So, and when those two meet twice, I thought it was really cool. But like the first time they meet, Terry's like, I don't got time for this crap. Then he just jumps out the window. He lands on the truck. He's like, drive, right nose. It's like,
I bet you wish your brother could have done this.
But
I don't know if I can laugh at a movie that's got a lot of rape in it.
Well, no, I'm laughing at the other parts. No, because I was not expecting it. It's the first time watching it. I don't know what to expect.
So you've never seen it before, actually?
No.
Okay. So
I came across this just through Tubi TV, or just called Tubi, TUBI. It has all free martial arts, action, comedies, TV series on there. You can watch it right now if you want to. There's an app on the Roku. That's where I found this. And so I was watching this through, and I was like, okay, this is okay. It's kind of slow burner. And then it starts picking up. It's like, especially when he has to go, they sort of hit on him. And yeah, the Yakuza were basically wanted this. They bumped out the guy who owned this oil company, and his daughter came back. She's I forgot what they're in Japan or whatever there, and
the oil heiress.
Yeah, the oil heiress, and they basically they kidnap her. They want her to sign over things. She's like, no, I can't sign over. You have to kill me first, pretty much. He goes originally to rescue her. And he tells Ratnose, hey, you only have one job. Stay in the boat with the girl and do this, and then head up river at the dock, and I'll meet you there. And Terry ends up getting captured, and they're going to torture him. They're going to, kill him. What does Ratnose do? Well, technically, he didn't say I have to stay in here. Blah, blah, blah. So he leaves the girl in the boat, goes up, and he immediately gets captured. He's like, Terry, no! I'm thinking, like, can we kill him instead? Because we find out the reason why he cares so much about Terry, because this guy apparently he was a bum living on the street. Terry gave him a purpose and stuff, so he owes his life to dead to him. But oh my, that's probably the worst part of the movie is when Terry's trying to treat him. I'm thinking like Terry's like, run me through with a sword. That was him. But there's that one bitch in there, like she's a Yakuza. She is just so cutthroat, and she's just
crime boss.
Yeah. She does not care. She's like, we'll just kill him. He gets over it. She ends up trying to fight Terry later on. They're on a freighter during and it must be like a hurricane coming through, or it's dropping some tropical storm, which I was amazed because I'm like, you see the waves, you see all that stuff, and then the inside, there's no rocking at all. It's just completely stationary. I was like, well, we could tell the outside was filmed from a different location where they're filming the inside. Yeah. But there's these three, or the main guy, the main bad guy, he Yakuza leader. He has a hobby. He likes collecting assassins, and he sends them. They go one after one. They get the girl. The two guys. One guy gets a sword or in the eye, or a little dagger in the eye, and I forget what the other one happens to the other one. But it's just like the one guy's pretty much blind. Yeah, and so. So it's kind of cool at the scenes though when Terry is fighting against these guys, when he's going to rescue her, he hits one guy with the flying elbow. I think it's with the elbow or a chop, and he punches the guy in the top of the head, and it goes to X-ray vision. Obviously, this is it's been talked about, and it's pretty much agreed upon by martial arts fans. This is the inspiration for the Mortal Kombat games that came out later in the 90s.
This movie is brutal. Yes, it's practical effects for the most part and everything too, and we have some fake blood and stuff. But I mean,
it's
talk about the scene where he's, and I'm trying to be delicate about this,
with the big guy.
He deals with the man's masculinity.
Oh, yeah. Okay, Pixel, you can handle it.
Yeah, because this this guy comes in and he's holding a knife, and he approaches the oil heiress, and he pulls down his pants and he starts trying to get on top of her. Meanwhile, outside on the boat, Terry. They have a rope on the balcony and they're starting to climb up. And all this time we cut between him climbing and this guy trying to basically rape the oil heiress. Then whenever he gets there, he basically pulls the guy off. It's not even like a real fight for a second before he just grabs his crotch and rips it out.
Rips his groin out, literally. All you see is in his hand is a bloody patch of material from where the guy's
he's holding
section used to be.
He's got like he's got a handkerchief, for the boxers, and he's got a Frankfurter in there. And what's key about this guy, the guy who was trying to rape the girl, the others, is the one that raped the other guy's sister.
Yeah.
When he handed him off. So this is the same group, So the guy who's working the redeeming sister is working for the guy that pretty much put his sister into prostitution. So him to go after against Terry, blame him for his brother's death. It's like, man, I was like, so you're helping the people that are having your sister enslaved instead of just trying to get your sister out of there and run. The fight scenes like that. There's the big dude when they're in the apartment building or complex in there, and Terry's going there, and all of a sudden here comes this huge guy. He's like, you're gonna deal with me. Terry ends up doing those little chops and stuff, and the guy keeps knocking back. So he's like, and Terry's gonna get thrown around. He's kind of like, fuck. He's like, what do I do? So he ends up poking the guy in the eyes, and the guy's like, it's just like I love how he's like, if you're gonna fight, you fight dirty. That's how you survive.
Yeah, and it's not just an eye poke. He's burrowing the fingers in there.
And they think about that. What's cool about this whole movie, the tagline is like, you don't need a gun, you don't need a knife. All you need is your hands. Pretty much. They're just like they talk about in the movie that was a Perfect Weapon record we reviewed with Jeff Speakman.
Yes, with Jeff Speakman.
Yeah, you don't need if you're a good fighter, yes. And what's really cool about this is Terry, his fighting moves. He went against the original guy who has his own class. This movie shows off different fighting styles, and they actually will tell you what they are a little bit. So when Terry went to go fight the honor, he had to fight this other guy, the martial arts master, in order to basically win favor to.
They do a deal.
Yeah, they do a deal. So what's cool about this is that Terry actually, it's revealed that Terry actually, his father, instilled all these different fighting techniques into one form.
Yep.
And obviously, and he said the problem is that his temper, just like Terry, is what got him killed. Trying to put all these forms together. So it's like I said, Terry's not going to survive. He's he's just too much of a hothead. And what's really cool is not only is his fighting styles, but I thought about when him and Randall are following the girl in the little limo. Here comes this big giant construction vehicle behind him, and on a flatbed, picks him up. The crane, and just dumps him off that thing, and he's like, and he fakes dead. And
he's flipping him off with his pinkies.
Well, there's a long history of martial arts, especially Chinese variations, where not only are you using your body, you're using farm weapons, and you have stabs, you have swords, sais, katanas, all that stuff. And this movie displays a couple different things. Although, again, this being a Japanese movie, the 2 points I want to make as we finish up here are these. I think one of my favorite scenes in here is also another historical thing in martial arts movies when I think of Chinese movies in particular, and it's the blind swordsman thing, because he has a fight in here with that, which is kind of cool. Obviously, it explains his breathing, trying not to lose his temper. But the thing about Sonny Chiba himself that I think is kind of neat is, I think it's factual to say that Asian culture, generally speaking, in particular, we're talking about Japanese here, but it would apply to Chinese as well as Vietnamese and others. We did on back at Thai Warrior recently. It would apply to Tony Jaa. They're slightly built in compared to, say, Nordic populations or Danes or Americans in general. But the thing with Sonny is he's like 6'3", 6'4". He's a big dude. He looks the part. And one of the things that we've talked about too is that, and especially in today's world with comic book movies, you have people that are all CGI'd up. They run a steroid cycle. They're about 160 pounds, where they put on 30 pounds eating chicken, rice, and broccoli, which is code word for steroids. And while they may look the part physically, they don't look like they own the part as far as their movement. And Sonny, he looks like a badass because he's physically big and imposing, but he's got that look on his face. He knows his business. And again, like we said before, even with Jackie Chan being kind of a comedy goofball in a lot of his films, this movie is so violent. You're almost laughing at it because you're like, oh, he's imitating Bruce Lee. He's being a goof. And you're like, no, this dude's really intense. That's the nature of the character. That's how it's displayed. And there's even a scene at the end where he throws a guy off in a boat while he's fighting, through it. And the guy's head hits the ground and you just see it explode. And you're like, yeah, they amped everything up here. I don't know the people behind it in terms of the studio and the writers, but this is a violent, dark movie. It's not a cutesy, fun one like a Jackie Chan. So for that reason alone, I have a tendency to kind of like it more. And I can see where it has that funk 70s kind of sound opening to it and through it that American films in very short succession would kind of start ripping off and taking that and putting it in blaxploitation films and martial arts films and everything else there too. But overall, I think it's a very good movie, very underrated, not talked about a lot. I think, RDV, you said you can see it currently on Tubi TV. That's where I saw it. I think it's also on YouTube for free. I'm not sure if it may be in a public domain, but final thoughts from you guys.
I want to point out that this movie was so successful, they spent off an actual character from this. Well, not a character, but one of the actors in there. She plays the sister of the brother who was killed, the one that flew out the window. It's Sue Shiomi. She ends up being her own movie called the same year. It's called Sister Street Fighter. Totally different character, but her brother ends up fighting against Terry in here, and in order to give her brother a free shot, she sacrifices herself by throwing herself. He's like, "Come with the side, stab us both," and and the backfire. And Terry is just like, "Okay, you killed your sister, man." So they end up fighting. So what happens is that they end up dueling each other outside on the freighter while it's raining. The one, I guess, English British guy there doesn't like. He's like, "Well, let's wrap this up," and he shoots Terry in the back, and it's like, the guy's like, the main gangster guy is like, "You idiot! Why did you do that? I wanted a fair fight," because he wants Terry to take over his own thing. Yeah. Whoever takes over.
You have no honor.
Yeah. He kills him with the sword. He stabs a guy, and the guy just falls over. It's like, well, pretty much all the bad guys are dead, except for the guy, the brother, that's still alive, avenging his sister and his other brother, and it's Terry. And what ends up happening? Terry gets his ass kicked for a while, but then Terry just kind of summons up his chi and all that stuff, and then he just No, he rips the guy's throat out, his vocal cords. Oh my gosh! It's like, and you see it. He's like, it's like, and you see him. I'm like, I was like, he just kills him. And it ends with the Harris and Terry and I think it's Sarai is the guy's name, the gangster leader. This kind of helping Terry. Apparently
Sarai is the name of the heiress.
Oh, sorry, Sarai. I'm trying to remember what that guy's name was. He's like,
I just remember him for his blue dragon.
Kendall. I can't remember what it was. Yeah. Oh, Dinsao. That's what it is. Yeah. But I want to. Apparently this movie's launched of not only the Sister Street Fighter, which had its own I guess trilogy or something like that. This also the Street Fighter had its own trilogy, I believe. 3 or 4 movies. I'm excited to check out those 2. I've already watched Sister Street Fighter, and I like that because it's pretty cool. And like I said, when we review that, I'll just jump right into that, and we'll just go right down the middle as far as me and Pixel and you guys as well, as far as who likes it the best. Because we're gonna draw that line. I think one of you guys might not like it. I'm not sure. I was surprised that Pixel liked this movie because usually Pixel like, well, that's bad acting. That's bad acting.
Well, I'm going to say it's definitely a 70s movie. There were some fun elements. There were, and Rob is absolutely right. There's some dark shit in here, insanely. But it was enjoyable. Sometimes it was a little silly with things. That, of course, could be just the dub, too, because I doubt Ratface actually said, Terry! And all those sounds, I don't know if that's actually Sonny Chiba or if it's just the person dubbing him. I can't tell. But when he was dying, when it looked like he was dying from the stab wound and he was there on the ground.
Well, he was shot. He wasn't stabbed. He was shot.
Yeah, some of the slappers where you're just going, "Oh my god, I can't believe they did that!" Because we're used to violence and stuff, but this really stands out from majority of martial arts films, not just now, but from definitely back in that time with what they did. They really took it to a higher level in this, really, and that's why it's on a Street Fighter, and that was the inspiration for Mortal Kombat and everything else, like we talked about at the beginning. All right, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Sonny Chiba, Street Fighter, 1974. This movie is extreme. It definitely is. We've talked about a lot of great films, a lot of fun ones, a lot of personal favorites. Some we maybe didn't like as much as some others. This one is a must-see, just to kind of get the depth of what's going on. Plus, we're introducing really a different culture here with Japanese films as far as how they treat martial arts. You can definitely see, at least with Sonny Chiba in this film, it's a little bit different than what you're getting with some others. That being said, an incredible must-watch. Go check it out on Tubi TV or YouTube or any other paid streaming site that you want. I'm Robert for RDV and Professor Pixel here at the Xtreme Movie Show. Thanks for listening. Thanks for retweeting. Thanks for getting the word out about us as we're on our march to 1,000 subs here on this relatively young channel. Let us know what you'd like us to review. I'd like to say thanks for listening. As always, good night. Stay extreme, everybody.
Sayonara.